coming up. It's at the Himalayan Institute, and it'll be in mid-September. It's about a 3-hour drive north. At the Himalayan Institute, they have a really great, they're really amazing at classical yoga. And so while I'll teach you yoga every day, it's a beautiful location, we'll go hiking. They will also teach us a little bit of learning from their knowledge base each day for about an hour and a half. And then the last day, I'll bring that together with our style of yoga and what you know to be your yoga methodology here. So if you've ever been even interested in teacher training, this might be a little mini taste of that. Or if you've done teacher training and you want a little bit more information about the classical foundations of yoga, this would be the place to come. So it is mid-September, and if you have questions about it, just ask me afterwards. Okay, let's get started. Let's come into child's pose. Toes together, knees open, arms forward on your forehead on your mat. Take a deep breath in. Open up your mouth and sigh. Do that a few times, as much as is needed. Hi, Allison. Good morning. As is needed for you to start to get a little bit more mastery of your breathing, out of it being automatic and into it being something considered. Some of you who are a little more experienced with breathing and find that you're easily able to keep it flowing throughout your whole practice, well, you might even consider minimizing the inhale. Maybe it just occurs as a sip of air, and extending the exhale more than you ever have before. Play with your breathing. And then what we're doing here, so I was sharing at the Himalayan Institute, they'll teach us more about the origins of yoga. And one of the parts of that is that yoga has 8 limbs, and that what we do here on our mat, the asana, is only one limb. There's another limb called pranayama, or breathing, and we consider this style of yoga, Vinyasa Yoga, on the pranayama limb, a breathing exercise. So with that said, each pose is there to challenge your ability to breathe and give you an opportunity to become more interested in your ability to breathe. So with that in mind, use your breath to bring your body up into downward facing dog. Good morning, Wendy. Begin to bend and straighten your knees. Stretch out your toes, the arches of your feet, your calf muscles, your knees. Lengthen and stretch from your palms pressing into your mat to your hips reaching up and away from your palms. Keep breathing. We have one level of our teacher training called adaptation. It's taught by Debbie Dower and her husband, Nick. One of the things they focus on is point-to-point stretching. And you have that going on in every pose, particularly here, the point of your hands reaching into the mat to the point of your hips pulling in the opposite direction. Do that with your body. Hands one way, hips one way, and then breathe and notice all the points in between. Take another breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees and look forward, then move up to the front of your mat. Once you get there, lift up halfway and fold down. Keep your breath flowing. Now bring on board your feet, your foundation, and organize your feet. I used to spend a lot of years teaching like more advanced teacher trainings around the country at different studios. And it never ceased to surprise me when I had a room full of experienced yoga teachers, how little attention they put on their feet and the rigor of that their feet was the foundation of each pose. So you bring that rigor to your feet right now, organized so that they're parallel to one another. And you can feel your weight even through the 4 corners because it changes your entire body. Once you've got that or some mastery of it, press your feet down into the ground, come rolling up to standing until you can sweep your arms overhead, stretch up and look up, and then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest and pause. Settle your drishti on one point, still point in the room, and set an intention for the practice. 3 times we'll chant together. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach up. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift halfway. High plank to low plank. As you exhale, use your knees if you're ready for that. Then inhale, upward facing dog. From your pubic bone to your chin, you stretch. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Work with your body as it's showing up for you. Put yourself each breath into your peak physical positioning, and then just breathe. You're going to take 2 more breaths here. Steady exhale, and then here's the last one. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Press your feet down, stand up, reach as high as you can, and then stretch back. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Halfway lift, full breath, steady exhale and empty on your chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Our concentration is on the exhale. There are very few breathing exercises where there be any focus on the inhale. The body kind of takes care of that automatically. 2 more. Here's the last one. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees. Now jump. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Press down and stand up. Reach up high and go back. Fold to the floor as you exhale. Half lift. Drop to the chaturanga. Upward facing dog with strong legs. Downward facing dog and breathe. Now, we're just awakening into this marriage of breath and movement and opportunity and change and transformation. You match your movements to your breathing. So if I see you pop really right up on your inhales or your exhales, I'll know that we can keep working on lengthening and spacing out our breath. 1 more time, breathe in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale, stand up. Take your time, fill your breath and reach. Fold to the floor with your steady exhale, patient. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank. Take your time, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Keep breathing here. So we're using this as a breathing exercise to stretch out our breath. Take it from the short, quick, anxiety-building breathing that can be a part of everyday life and training ourselves in a more nutritious breath. Take another breath in, breath out, and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Inhale, stand. Take your time, move, lift, reach, fill. Steady, fold to the floor and empty your breath. Halfway lift, be patient. Chaturanga, keep your patience here and empty. Now slowly inhale and come up. Exhale and go back. 3 breaths. You won't always be comfortable in this awakening sequence and feeling like we're doing just the right thing that you need today to do your true practice. We're not here to do that practice. We're here to effect a change. 1 more time, breathe in. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. We'll take 1 more sun A. Inhale, stand up, look up, reach up, stretch. Now take your time and fold. Good job. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank with patience and hold it. Now take it time here. Inhale, come up. Good job. Exhale, go back. Good work. 3 breaths. Wake up your hands, spread them out, squeeze your fingertips to the mat. You've got 1 more. Inhale, exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose is next. Sit into your heels and reach. Take your time, stretch, and fold to the floor empty. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward and lunge. Take a long stride and bend your knee a lot, then reach. Let's stay here and breathe. So back foot, turn it flat on the mat and press the back edge of your back foot down into the mat. Then drag yourself forward into a deep lunge. When you're in the deepest lunge your legs can create, lift the pit of your belly up to the ceiling, look up to the ceiling and reach, then chaturanga, a steady empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now the left side, step and lunge, arms overhead and get your breath flowing. You know you'll need your feet. And then take a deep, deep lunge, down deep with your legs, but with your body, pull yourself up out of your legs. Once you feel that sense that your legs are deep, but you're pulling up, then all there is to do is just breathe and feel what you feel. That's it. One more time, breathe in. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Very good work. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Anytime you need to, you can just take a sigh and empty your breathing. One more time, breathe in, Allison. Squeeze your pointer finger knuckle down to the mat and everybody else. Bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Let's flow. Chair pose. Sit, inhale, and reach. Fold to the floor as steady as your breath and movements can be. Halfway lift. Drop to the low plank and empty. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward. Lunge. Deep inhale. Lift. Hands down. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, the left side next. Step forward and lunge. Inhale, look up, stretch. Hands down, chaturanga and empty. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now check out this pose as though you've never been in it before. What's available to you as the peak of this pose physically for right now? A little more length, a little more width, maybe a little more stretch from your hands to your hips. Take another breath. On the exhale, bend your knees and jump. Halfway lift, fold, chair pose, sit and reach, fold, steady. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank and empty. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward and lunge. Lift your belly, lift your fingers, hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side step, lunge. What's new and interesting right here? Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, and breathe. We say in our style of yoga that we've got 3 practices and techniques. One is asana. These are the poses. One is meditation, sitting still and getting some space. The other one is inquiry. Inquiry is the act of asking a question, not for an answer, but to discover something new. The next sun salutation be in the state of an inquiry. Take a breath in, exhale, bend your knees, and jump. Halfway lift, forward fold, chair pose, sit and reach, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, right foot forward lunge. Get interested in your feet. You reach and discover something new. Then chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left side step, lunge, reach, hands down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. It's through an inquiry that the practice stays infinitely interesting. Because moment to moment, you've never been there before. Now raise your right leg into the air, bend your knee, bring your heel to your hip and flip the pose over, but keep breathing the whole time. Once you have your feet and your hand anchored in this flip dog, reach up and overhead until you feel space stretching between each one of the ribs on the right side of your body. Then just breathe. A timeless amount of time to be in the pose and to breathe. And discover what you didn't know before you did this pose right now. Steady breathing. Maybe a sigh helps you just clear out your space and have new ability to learn. One more breath. Side plank. Bring your right hand to the mat. Face the long left side of the mat and stack your body up. Create your body so that you have a quality of stretching and length from the heel edge that's on the ground all the way up the underside of the body till your armpit. Stretch those 2 points apart. Then for everyone, turn your chest to the ceiling, look to the ceiling and reach to the ceiling. Strong belly, high plank to low. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take a breath, open your mouth, have a sigh. Left leg into the air, bend your knee, heel to your hip, and turn your hips open. Get anchored in your hand and stretched through your side body and flip. Keep breathing. Set your drishti here and keep breathing. Then reach up and overhead. Maybe you spot a fellow yogi across the room that you're reaching for. Bring easy breath. Body opening, body soft and easy. Side plank, left hand to the mat. Face the long right side of your mat. We still need this long underside body from your heel crease to your armpit, so stretch that long. Part of what will help is that you have a strong pit of the belly. Nice. Once you have your whole torso set, turn your chest to the ceiling and get light. 2 more breaths. Lift that shoulder, get light. High plank to low. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. Step your right foot forward to the crescent lunge and keep breathing. What does it take to keep your breath flowing in a moment where what you'd rather do is just check out? I only know that because it's how it happens also for me at times. Stand on the ball of your back foot this time instead of your flat foot, and set the back foot up so that your heel's not drifting into your midline, but you're on all 5 toe knuckles with your heel straight on top of the ball of your foot and lunge so far forward your foot is stacked up as though there's a wall right behind the base of your foot. So thigh parallel to the floor, back leg powerful. So straighten it out, make it strong and powerful. There you go. Then lift up to the ceiling and reach behind you. Now the limit to this pose, and it comes from the pit of the belly, is when you touch the floor behind you. So lift the pit of your belly up and reach back. You've got it. It all comes from the power of your back leg. Keep lifting. You got it. Pit of your belly, reach. Hands to prayer position and twist. Left elbow to your right knee. Once you get your elbow settled, the point-to-point stretch in this pose is heel reaching back, your left heel. Center of your chest, reach it forward. Even through to the crown of your head, you just stretch long. When those 2 points are maximum stretched, maybe you'll open your arms and stretch from your hand through your chest to your hand. You can even bind the pose if you want. Stay with it. Now, powerful legs and a strong pit of your belly. Stay with this. So you get this maximum stretch right through the ribs. Now breathe 3 breaths. Right into your rib cage. 2 more. Stay with it. Whole last breath. Reach up to crescent lunge and set your gaze. Open your body to warrior 2. You've got this. I usually have to take a little break here too. Check out a little bit emotionally, take a couple sighs and come back in. That's just my growing edge. Now set your feet up, front foot and knee. They need to point in the same direction. They cannot be disjointed. The foot pointing out and the knee pointing forward. They've got to go straight head on. The back foot, angle it inward. And then lunge down until you feel it, not just in your front leg, but you feel an equal quality of opening in your back leg. Work with that until both legs are really feeling this evenly. Now stretch your arms apart and tilt for extended side angle. You'll need to keep your powerful legs working. Bend your knee until your thighs parallel to the floor. You got it. Then press the back edge of your back foot so strong into the mat that your arm that's reaching overhead, you feel the point-to-point stretch from your top, hands, fingertips, down to the edge of your foot on the floor. Press that foot even harder. So hard that your other arm, your right arm, floats into the air and reaches over the head to the front of the mat. That's it. You got it. You have it. 2 breaths. Good, Suzette. Lift your chest to the ceiling. Last breath, chaturanga. It all comes from that back foot. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take your left foot forward to crescent lunge and rest inside the crescent lunge, arms overhead. Keep your breath flowing. So those key transition points where there would be this sense of like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard, don't I get a break? Just dial it down a little bit, but don't turn the switch off. Is that what you were thinking? Arms overhead. There is a break in this pose. If you get to the point where your legs are working equal on the ball of your back foot, so not the warrior foot, but the crescent foot, lunge down until your front thighs parallel to the floor and activate your back leg. Yes, once your back heel is strong like this and pressing, you can reach up and lift up from the pit of your belly to the ceiling, go up and go back. Keep lifting your belly. Powerful back leg, lifting your belly. You got it. Powerful back leg. If you don't have to breathe in the pose, are you in it? 2 more. Stay with it. 2 more. When you finish the last one, take your hands to prayer and twist. Keep your back leg strong, lifting to the ceiling, active and powerful. Then the point-to-point stretch from your back heel to the crown of your head. Point-to-point stretch. Press back, reach forward. Keep pressing back and reaching forward until your back right ribs just get stretched out so long. This will sink in. Yeah, stretch here. Open your arms if you want to. Take your body into its maximum. Keep stretching and lengthening. 2 more breaths. Give yourself a chance to just feel the pose. You got 1 more. Reach up to the crescent lunge. Open up to warrior 2. Take a long stride. That's it, Diane. So knee and toes point in the same direction. Back edge of the back foot, press it down. Both hips will feel evenly in the pose. Stretch your arms wide and tilt. Extended side angle. Straighten your back leg, Candy. Yeah. Steady breathing. You can reach your palm forward, arm over your ear. So it's straight and strong. So that as you press your foot into the mat, it's almost like there's a tug of war. Foot into the mat. Let me take this. An arm overhead. So you feel like your arm bones settled into your back. Press your foot more. And then reach the 2 arms. It'll only work if your foot is maximally pressing. Lunge. Keep bending that knee. Press your foot and reach. You got it. 1 more breath. Chest to the ceiling. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. What we're playing with there, up dog to down dog, is the edge between muscling into the pose. But other than that, different from that, finding the alignment and harnessing the pose. It's the only way we can get to greater levels of strength. The muscles can only do so much. Good work. Take a breath in and a breath out, bend your knees, jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold, chair twist. So feet hip width distance, sit way back. Hips reach way back. So feel the point-to-point stretch of shins and knees forward and hips back. Then hands into prayer and twist. Left elbow to your right knee. Keep your 2 knees evenly bending. And if you're open to it, open your arms. Nice setup there, Wendy. I see you working with that. Allison, that's good. Just keep squatting low. Open your arms. See, Allison's got her 10 toes lifted. That can be really helpful in locating the corners of your feet. 3 more breaths here. Twist on your exhales. String your body out. Victoria, broad collarbones. Last breath. Reach up to the chair and forward fold. Open your feet hip width distance and hook your big toes and just stretch your chest down to the ground. So watch your feet. It's easy for your toes to turn out a little bit. Move your heels a little wider. You got it. And keep pressing down the knuckle of your front foot's big toe, both feet's big toes. That's it. Control your exhales. While your heels sink and you're controlling your exhales, once your heels feel really anchored, you can shift your hips a little more toward your toes. Let your head just hang. That's it. Breathe into your back ribs. Let your head hang. Chair twist the other way. Release your toes, set your feet up, and sit back. Get way back into your heels so that your hamstrings are working equal to your quad muscles. Now bring your right elbow to your left knee. Left knee for many of us, an inch or two more forward while you drag your right thigh an inch or two more back. Good. Then stretch long. Yeah, a little more long, Candy. So hips stay back and chest long. Your elbow's good, yeah. Just wanting to keep the back bend out of it. For several of you, on your next exhale, more engagement of the pit of the belly. Yes, Philomene, I saw that. Your whole spine leaned out. 2 more breaths. Little more pit of the belly. Let's just see what you see with that. Last breath. Chair pose. Forward fold, gorilla pose. So hands underneath of your feet if they'll go all the way under there. Little shift of weight and wiggling of your toes to massage your wrists and let your head hang down. And then see if you can bring your attention, your breath into your back bottom ribs. Just breathe into that space in the back bottom rib cage area. It's perfectly exposed here. It's also well warmed up. Just, yes, breathe into that area. Good work, Charlie. That's it. Keep on breathing. A little more right in there, Sue. Little bit more space in your back bottom ribs. We're going to need that for crow pose and any variation of crow pose. Hands set wide in your handstand hands where the knuckle of your pointer finger and your fingertips grip the floor. Knees wide on the outsides of your armpits and then tilt forward, squeezing the floor. Every time you exhale, you press the floor, your body gets round and hollow, and lift your core. Take 5 breaths here. When we get to the 5th one, we'll be moving from the crow pose to the chaturanga. You could move one leg at a time. We're looking to float, to land so softly and gracefully. Go ahead and take the chaturanga. 2 feet back, 1 leg back, then upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths, a few sighs, open up your mouth, clear out your space. We're completing the vitality section of the sequence where we're building new energy and trying to tap into energy that always already exists inside of us. Once you unleash that, it's a lot of new power. We'll go to equanimity next. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees, jump up to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Take your time, press down with your feet, come rolling up to standing and sweep your arms overhead. Set your gaze, right side eagle pose. So wrap your right arm under your left arm. Cross your forearms, right arm under the left. Let me help you with that. This is always tricky. That's it. Squat down low. Try to cross high up on your thighs and see if you can tuck your toes behind your calf muscle. You're right there. Now sit down deep and breathe. Reach the crown of your head up high. This part. You have it. Step out, arms overhead. Left arm under, left leg over. That's it. Left leg high over your right thigh. You might want to sit down deep. Once you get your legs intertwined, squeeze them and sit down deep with your legs. Then pull your torso up tall to the ceiling. We're looking to make a lot of length in the soft center of our torsos. Once you feel like you've stretched that and gotten the length, pull the pit of your belly into your body. Your deep transverse abdominal muscles that wrap around like a corset, let those hug in and support you staying tall. Step out, arms overhead. Let's do the right side again. Right arm under, right leg over. I find this pose to be a really interesting almost shift in the practice of working from the periphery, arms and legs, and getting to the point where I originate my work from the core. How would that be? Well, first I have to squeeze my arms and my legs just to get like alive and awake in those limbs. And then pull the pit of the belly in until I'm so tall, like my spine's a slinky that's been stretched out. And I can, in fact, relax my arms and legs, but still be powerful. Step out and switch sides. Left arm under, left leg over. Steady breathing. So you want the deepest muscles in your torso, that they essentially have a hugging quality that has you from the very center of your whole being feel supported. Enough so that as you exhale, even your skin gets a quality of softening a little bit. Give it a few breaths. Lift the pit of your belly so your tail can drop a little more, Paige. There, so this can stretch. Yeah. Stand tall with your chest. Step out. Hug your right knee into your chest. You may need a strap or a hand towel, but then hold your right foot with your right hand, the strap, the hand towel, and extend your right leg forward and stand up tall. Let your body get adjusted to being in this position. Adjusted to your right thigh bone sinking to the back of your pelvis. Adjusted to your right arm bone moving to the back of your body. Little softness in both knees. Yep, stand tall now. And then just breathe into your back right shoulder, back right rib area. Breathe into that area. This whole area here. You got it, Henry. Right into my hand. Just breathe into that space. One more breath. Hug your right knee into your chest. Now we'll take airplane pose next. Arms can be wide, or you could interlace them behind you and tilt forward. Chest up, Jordan. That's it. Reach your arms out wide. Now just let your standing foot sink down into the ground, especially the knuckle of your big toe. See if you can become aware of the knuckle of your lifted leg's big toe and imagine it pressing into the wall behind you. Hands to prayer, press your palms together and stay present and breathe. From here, half moon, left fingertips to the block or floor, right arm in the air. Stay present to your feet. Standing big toe into the mat. Lifting big toe, pressing down the hallway or to the back of the yoga room or to the chairs behind you, whatever is in the world behind you. Now maybe look up and stretch up, hands to the floor and hang. Let yourself be refreshed here. Hang and sway from side to side. If you'll be using the strap on the other side, pick it up. Come on up to standing. Left side, hug your knee into your chest. Extend your foot. Extend your knee forward. You're getting a little dizzy. It might not go away. You might have to wait till we're on the floor. Now, while you're here, can you just take your left hip and just settle it down to the floor a little more? Be a little more easy in the pose. Hug your knee into your chest, airplane pose. You can always take any of these lying down. Lift your chest up, lift your leg up. Hands pressed to prayer position as an opportunity to settle yourself with your hands. Half moon, right arm down, left arm up. And then just press your leg up to the ceiling, the side of your lifted leg, like it's just pressing on something. You got it, Jordan. Chest up, look up, forward fold and hang. Let yourself hang here for a second. It's a warm day. You're working really hard and you're moving a lot of energy. More than the heat in the air, the energy that you're moving has an impact on everybody in the room. Give yourself a moment. And press your feet down into the ground and come rolling up to standing for standing bow. You could do this standing, or you could do it on the mat in a tabletop position if you're feeling at all dizzy. So right hand to the left ankle if you're on the ground. Or if you're standing, right arm bone back, hold your ankle from the inside if you can, palm facing out. So watch that your shoulder doesn't turn under. We want the rolled back. So flip your hand all the way around. Yes. Kick forward and back. Take a sigh whenever it's needed so that you can reach for your foot if that works, or stay right as you are. That hand. Opposite. It's a little easier to balance. All right, step out. Let's switch to the other side. Left arm back, hold your ankle from the inside. This equanimity sequence, it's not a resting sequence, and I'm sure you can feel that right now. The energy stays very high, and it teaches us to settle it, to level it out, but at a high level. So instead of turning the volume down or off on the energy, once it starts really moving, we unearth it in vitality. Here we have this chance to harness. Some days you have unleashed a lot, and that can be a lot to get a grip on. And though you still work through, whether you're holding space lying on your mat or you're up standing in a pose. Okay, come on out. Feet on the floor, maybe hands pressing together or on your hips, or you can even fold and rest, take deeper rest here. Concentrate on your exhales. Little sip of air, a big steady exhale. And we'll do a second set. So right arm back, open up your form, hold your ankle from the inside. Steady gaze and begin to kick. You got it. Keep your breath moving. Take yourself to your physical edge in the pose. Yes, that's it. Kick down and kick up. At the physical edge, just breathe and be right there in the edge of the space, edge of the pose, breathing, seeing what there is to see. Come on out and switch sides. If you need to catch a breath in between, you do that. And then we'll do the second set of the left side. That's it. Kick back and kick up. I concentrate a lot at first on getting the forward and back, the kick and the reach. That helps me to just like surrender my shoulders a little more, get to the point where I'm really using the bottom of my lungs to breathe, and then drive up into the physical edge. Steady breathing. One more breath. And come on out of it. Everybody lay down on your back. We'll take tree pose lying down. At home, if you want to take it lying down, you can, or you can do it standing up. On your backs, bend your left knee, put the sole of your foot on your right inner thigh. So one leg stays long on the ground and active. Not toes turned out if you can help it. Foot against the thigh, and you press those two actively together, so that we wouldn't need a block under this left knee because we're not resting it. We're bringing those 2 points actively together, the sole and the inner thigh. Then head down, put your palms together and press them together. Or if you really want a lot of extra grounding and rest, open up your cactus arms so the backs of your forearms and your hands are on the ground. And breathe here. Concentrate on the exhales. A little sip of inhale and an elongated exhale. A little sip of an inhale. Now 6 counts to exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Little inhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. A little inhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good work. Hug your knees into your chest. You might even want to curl up and put your forehead on your knees. Then switch sides. Left leg long, toes pointing up to the ceiling, not curled out to the side. So lift your head and see where your toes are. I might want to always roll out to the side. That's always me using my quad muscles. I have to get my inner thighs working as well. So I'm pressing the sole of my right foot against my inner thighs. Squeeze them together. I could even squeeze my hands together. All of that has a quality of being grounding, or open up the cactus arms. And then we'll work together. We'll start with a breath that has a sigh. Just blow all the air out. Now here we go together. A little sip of inhale. Steady. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. Little sip of an inhale. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. Little sip. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Last time. Little sip. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. and breathe. Hug your knees into your chest and rock head to toe 3 or 4 times and then through to downward facing dog. Once you get to the downward facing dog, step your right foot forward for triangle pose. Right foot forward for triangle pose. You've got a new level of alertness and groundedness. Keep your breath flowing. You can keep, if you would like to, working with the little sip and the 6 count exhale and a pause. If that's working better for you for Vinyasa breath, the Vinyasa breath it builds inner fire. I'm giving you the alternative breath, not so hot. Concentrate on your breathing while you hold this pose. All this pose is here to do is challenge your ability to breathe. Keep your breath moving through your nose. The long exhale. Come on up to standing. Turn to face the long left side of your mat. Hands to your hips. Lift your chest up high. Forward fold. Walk your fingertips in front of you until you feel your weight lighten in your heels and set up your tent pole hands. And then with an exhale, sink your heels, your hips behind your heels. So there's a maximum stretch from your fingertips to your hip creases. Now work on your breathing exercise with your body point to point stretched from hips to fingers. You'll just breathe through each one of your ribs as you do your breathing exercise. Use your nose. You can even let go of the stirring in the back of your throat as you inhale the sip of air, and then you take the 6 count exhale and take a pause. Feel your rib cage expand, new space get created. And then as you exhale, you'll discover the space that stayed with you. One more breath here. Tippy toe your fingertips around to your front leg, splits on the floor. So front leg in front of you, back knee down to the ground. I usually take my heel off of my mat and put it on a towel that will slide. Toes point straight up. Here again, the tendency is for your toes to drop out to the side. Keep them pointing straight up. You'll have to pull your right thigh bone back, like your heel's going to drag backwards at first. Keep that backness as then you start to move into the split. Yep, keep watching your front foot. Toes point straight up in the air. So 2 blocks can be a great tool depending on where you are on the pose. A block underneath your right hip can be a nice tool for a lot of bodies. Ideally, you keep the back toe turned under so your thighs have this quality of continually pulling front one back one forward, like scissors that are closing. Now here we go with your next breath. If you're able to, forward fold in this pose. That's it. Stay right here for just a breath. As much as you got. As much as you got over there, Damien. We want from the bird's eye view the 2 sides of your pelvis to be level. It is easy to let the one side dip and your hips just open to the side, and that has a whole different quality to it. We're looking for this quality of containing. All right, last breath. Once you're complete, step back to the downward dog, then bring your left foot forward for triangle, all inside the rhythm of your breathing. Keep your breathing moving in a nice cycle as you just shift your body's position. Keep your drishti set, your attention present in your body and the space in the room while you move. If you discover that your brain is just doing way too much, take a sigh. What is way too much? It's telling you that there's anything wrong with this moment. Take a sigh and let it go. And then open up the base of this pose. Be an explorer. In an inquiry to just discover what, yeah, that's it. Ariana, I was just coming to get that. Press the knuckle of your front foot's big toe down into the mat. Keep the knee soft and sink the crease of your left hip back to the back of your mat so that this space on the left side of your torso, yes, gets long, but big toe down. They're going in opposite directions, the hip crease and the big toe. Then turn your chest to the ceiling. Right there, you breathe. 2 more breaths. That's it. Good. Last breath. Come on up to standing. Face the long right side of your mat. Take your arms around behind you and interlace your hands. Lift your chest up and forward fold, feet parallel to the sides of your mat, the short sides. So bring the edge of your foot parallel. That's it. So for many of you, that means moving your heels out wider than what they were. Breathe here. Maybe a couple of sides to let your hands just fall overhead until the back ribcage area is exposed for a possible opening, and breathe. Then come on up to standing. Stretch this out on your mat. Splits facing the front, left leg forward. So remember, we're not looking for you to sit over on your left hip. In fact, if you can, don't. Instead, if you can, build strength by sucking your front leg back and hovering up out of the pose. Back toes turned under. So back toes turned under like a push-up. If you can, like this. Yes. And then this will come forward. You'll come up off of the left hip just a bit. Give yourself this. And then this. Yeah, and just keep working with that. You got it. You might lift the pit of your bellies so that there's a lot of new space in the crease of your front hip. Good. Toes straight up if you can. Keep on breathing. Hug if you can. Just try hugging. Yeah, not there. It's different, huh? Forward fold when you're ready. I'll get out of your way. Keep breathing. Hug right against my palm with your arch. Helps you collect the pose. You're like, I don't want to collect it. I liked it the way it was. Take a breath. Have a sigh. Step back to downward facing dog. That was very good work. Can't get out of those poses. Stretch. You've earned back bends and your body is so warmed up. Don't sigh in your head like, oh my gosh, now we're doing back bends. You are ready. Back bends, when it's warm and you've worked as hard together as you guys have worked, can be very groundbreaking. Come to the high plank, move down to your belly, take the first locust pose. All we're doing for locust pose is establishing that our body is long. So keep your toes turned under like they were in the push-up, legs active, and stretch long. All you want is from your armpits down to your outer ankle, that your body is long. And then your belly is strong. Those deep wrapping muscles we were discovering throughout the class, they work for you here and give you the chance to breathe and open your chest. Should be no pinching in your lower back. Do you feel pinching there? Could you let go of that somehow? Come on down. Shake your hips from side to side. Second set, maybe arms around behind and interlace your hands and lift up. If I were belly down, I would want my pose looking like this rather than like this. What's it going to take? Toes maybe turned under and anchored to the floor like a push-up. Yep. Stretch your heels back, chest forward. As your heels stretch back, your hands stretch back, you got it. Then just concentrate on gathering your abdominal muscles into your body. Less back, more deep abdominals. One more breath. Good. Come on down. Wave your hips from side to side and then bend your knees and hold your ankles for the floor bow. Knees only hip width distance. Once your knees go wide, the whole pose is compressing your lower back. You did not come to yoga for your lower back to start hurting. Hold your ankles. Don't worry about how high you kick. Kick back and kick up. And if reaching to your ankles feels a little too far, a strap would cover the distance for you. Knees only hip width distance. Sorry, Henry. You got it right there. Knees only hip width distance. Hug your knees in. Come on down. Wave your hands from side or your feet from side to side. Second set or second side if you're doing it one side at a time. Get ready, kick back and kick up. That's it. Active feet, Allison. So really flex them. Good. Nice. That's it, Wendy. For everyone, knees only hip width distance. Good. Pam, flex your ankles. Yes. Flex your ankles on the outside if you can, Jordan. Right here. Yes. Come on down. Wave your feet from side to side. Hands on the floor beside your bottom ribs. Upward facing dog. Move back to downward facing dog. And then onto your knees for camel pose. Camel pose is the same body shape as bridge or the floor bow you just did. Knees on the ground, not wider than your hips. Hands like they're slipping into your back pockets. And your work is to just lift the whole front of your body up. That's different from your belly hanging. So lift the pit of your belly. Let the back of your pelvis be broad. Then lift up through your ribs. Maybe you reach for your heels. If you reach for your heels, do it from the pit of your belly that it's lifting so much. Nice. Then come on up out of this downward facing dog. And then from there, you can jump through and roll onto your back. We'll get ready for bridge pose. So now we've been in this shape. We've done it in the floor bow. We did it in the camel pose. Now we'll do it in the bridge pose. Feet hip width distance with your ankles right underneath of your knees. Press your feet down into the ground. Lift your body up into the air. Tuck your shoulders under your body and either elbows pressing into the ground or interlace your hands. Once you get your body physically in the space of the pose, knees only hip width distance, so you want the ball of your big toe pressing into the ground. Now you just do your breathing exercise. Hug that. Yep, you can use your Ujjayi breath, which you know builds an internal heat or fire, or just the sip of air straight into a 6 or 8 count exhale and a pause. That'll be a little bit of a softer and quieter breathing, but it's all through the nostrils. Yes, sometimes we sigh through the mouth. That's just a complete energy clearing. Give that a hug, Nikia. Yeah, just like that. One more breath and come on down, knees side to side. Next bridge, set it up. Up into your bridge pose. Once you get your shoulders set on the ground, then set your hands up out of the bridge for a wheel pose. Now you are very warmed up. Pause here even and take a sigh and just invite your body to relax. Then press your arms and legs straight up into the wheel pose and just get up in there and see what you see. How is your foundation, your hands and your feet? Could you take a sigh or could you take some steady breathings? Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees go side to side. Don't waste a lot of time here. Set it up. Next one, wheel pose number 2. Press down and rise up. You got it. If your mat has a lot of water on it, you need a towel under your hands so you don't slip. Tuck your chin and come down. Now, the stronger and or tighter you are, particularly in your shoulders, the wider you want to set your hands. Awkwardly wide. Press down, rise up. That's it, Jordan. Now keep pressing into your thumbs. You got it, Nikia. That's amazing setup. Good, Victoria. A lot of good setups here. Matt, you can go wider still with your hands next time. Yes. Tuck your chin and come on down. Okay, now we know we have a few of these left. We can feel our body however it is for us today and what we've got that is available to us to work with. So here we go. There are 4 more. Get ready. Press down and rise up. All the way up and you breathe and work with the pose. One thing you could do is tippy toe and walk your knees or your hands in close to your feet. Once you get in there and you get comfortable, maybe in the next set, maybe in this set, you then press your heels down and get a bigger stretch in your quads. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees go side to side. Get ready for the next one. Hands, feet on the floor, press down, rise up. Don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. If your body's doing this pose today, then you go with it. Now see if you can move your heels wider, Paige, not your toes. Yes. Keep a nice wide, broad lower back. Tuck your chin and come on down. Knees side to side and just take a deep inner inventory of your body, how it's feeling. We have 3 more. Get ready, press down, rise up. You got it. Press down, rise up. Breathe, tuck your chin and come on down. We're going to do 2 more of these. Get yourself ready to go. Press down, rise up. And you know, if you were taking a breather on some of these wheel poses and you want to join in, we're going to have 1 more left. Hands wide. You could go even wider with your hands, Ariana. Let your shoulders relax and come on down. Knees side to side. This is kind of the best it ever gets. Like, you were peak humidity in the air outside. Body came in really warm. You guys were working really hard together. Your body's ready for this in a very unique way. On your mark. Last one. Get set and go all the way up. Breathe 10 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Go for 9 more. You count them out for yourself. When you're complete, on your back, Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm almost jealous. Paige, you could stand up out of that. Yes, look at that. Supta Baddha Konasana. Concentrate on the long string of exhale. See if you can become aware of how powerful you are to consciously calm your whole system, your heart rate, the pace of breathing. See if you can do that with your breathing. Steady exhales, maybe a sigh if you feel like you can't quite catch your breath. Hug your knees into your chest for dead bug pose. This series of back bends called our igniting sequence has this quality of really opening up this pattern we have just through our everyday way of using our bodies, of closing down more and more on the heart area of the body, the center of the chest. It's called your heart chakra. It has the quality or the energy of like a human loving kindness for yourself, for others. And we just get vulnerable in the back bends. We open that up and expose it. So the next set of poses are about stabilizing this quality of being able to be open like that. 2 legs straight up in the air. Flex your feet. If you have a block, you could hug the block right between your ankles. Henry, you don't want your block? You're volunteering that to me? You could hug it right between your ankles and curl up. Keep hugging it so you feel this inner line of your shins and your thighs working. Back of your neck long, curled up at your ribs. Now we'll just pulse. Breathe in, blow out, and a little pulsing. And blow out. It doesn't have to be a big rocking movement. All we're really looking for in this pulsing is that you can keep deepening and anchoring the deepest of your abdominal muscles and stay stable while you're doing it. So just stable moves. 2 more. Last one. Hug your knees into your chest. You can put your block down. Now we'll split the legs. So right leg can hover above the ground, left leg in the air, no toes turning out. And even imagine that they're hugging in against something at the center line. Curl up. Now you'll have to do it like the splits where you pull your right leg back and push your left leg forward so you stay anchored. Now we'll pulse here, blow out. I know when I'm pulsing, I have to keep pulling my right leg back. So this box, hip to hip, rib to rib, stays stable. Do 3 more, 2 more. 1 more, hug your knees in. Now the other side, opposite legs. 1 leg long, 1 leg in the air, flex your feet. You can soften your knees as much as you need to. And then we're pulsing here. So curl up at your ribs, hug like there's something to hug. Keep hugging. You can soften your knees if you want. And then you're pulsing 5, 4, 3. It makes it so hard, right? 2, 1. Hug your knees into your chest. Good work. Rock head to tail, back and forth, a whole bunch of times. Go through to downward facing dog. You have earned some really good hip opening time. Right leg forward to pigeon pose. Pigeon pose also like splits. It doesn't want to sit over onto your hips. So right leg forward, thighs square to the side of your mat. Shin square to the head of your mat. That's the gas pedal on the pose. More square, more intense. Then a block tucked right underneath of your right hip or a fold up towel. can help you to not sit over onto your right hip. You'll lift the pit of your belly and then fold. Keep your breath flowing, and this is a very nice opportunity to just be focused on the little sip of inhale and the 6 count exhale, all through the nostrils, and maybe not necessarily with the ujjayi quality now. We shift into a section of poses called opening. There's a lot that's going on that could be qualified under a list of what things are opening right now. Yeah, your hip, we've got that one. And you could reach back with your left hand and grab your left ankle and fold forward. You'd also then feel your quads opening. And we do know intellectually that we're moving toward a section of the sequence called deep rest. So we might be opening up towards something that would enable us to be present for that particular sequence of poses. So use your breath. Can you open up to, for example, just being with what is? That's an opportunity right now. Just being with what is exactly the way it is, however it is for you right now, and choosing it. Whether you like what's going on or you don't like what's going on or you're indifferent to it, choosing how it is. What does that mean? Well, it means owning it, how you're experiencing the moment, as though it's no one's fault. It's your choice to have this moment right now, how it is. Just like it's no one's fault, it's to no one else's credit. This is your experience that you've created. Hands on the ground and switch to the other side, left leg forward. Your yoga practice can make you physically strong. It can make you physically flexible. And those are amazing outcomes. But it can also give you a whole presence of being that I know I would have had no idea even existed without a yoga practice. And that presence of being takes practice. So focus on your breathing. Be with the pose however it has occurred. Own the experience. If you would like, you could reach back and capture your right ankle with your right hand. Now you'll want to stay on top of the pose, not sit over to the side once you do this. And fold. You might find it easier if the block is under your hip to give you stability. All right, sit onto your left hip, swing your right leg around for double pigeon. Double pigeon will look different on a lot of bodies. If you feel like you're sitting here already and it's tight, sit up onto something about an inch at most where your mat folded up would work. And so ankles hang off the sides of your thighs, feet flexed, hips back. And for some, it will look like this. Others like this maybe. Pick the addition of the pose that suits your body and keep moving your hips back. Maybe you fold forward. Some of you might like pressing against your feet, others walking your hands forward. Yeah, so different than crisscross applesauce could be a variation, but ankle hanging over and shins stacked, a variation could be pulling the bottom shin back. Good. You probably feel both of your hips in the back, both sides of your pelvis opening. You shouldn't feel anything in your knees. And switch sides. Other leg on the bottom. Anytime you can put your hands on the ground beside your hips and move your hips back. We want this space of your lower back to be lifting, a quality of lifting instead of kind of sinking behind. Yeah. I always think this is the best when you get to the end of a really hot practice and you're able to open up your hips. So next, you can stay where you are for now, but next we'll be moving into frog pose and you're going to have a lot of choice. It could be turning sideways on a long mat, feet open wide and a seated wide leg forward fold, or it could be fold your mat in half so you're still in your box, one knee on your mat, one knee off of your mat in frog pose. Frog pose is 90 degrees at the hips, knees, and ankles. You could go to a wall. We won't be in this forever, so I'll pre-warn you about that. So set yourself up for frog pose. So you can see Philomena showing you this pose. Your hips will probably remain in the air, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, then work to keep the pit of your belly in. For those of you that having your knee bones against the floor, it just does not work. You could be at a wall where your hips are shin distance away from the wall. You have 90 degrees in those 3 joints again. Flex your ankles. Hello. I was just going to give that. Focus on your breathing. Even though you might be uncomfortable, could you still be working with your Ujjayi breath or with the option of the breath that I've given you where you're taking the little sip of air, the 6 easy counts and holding that and then starting again? When we visit places like the Himalayan Institute, they teach us additional breathing exercises. Those are some superpower tools to have in your toolkit. We're looking to bring you some breathing exercise workshops this fall. If you see that come on the schedule, I definitely recommend taking that workshop. Learn more about managing your breathing and things you can do to practice it. You will tap into reserves that you never even knew you had. If your knees start to slide a little wider, open in the frog pose, that's okay. It's part of what we're working toward. Bring your feet together behind you and come sliding forward. I'll give some of you guys that have a lot of sweat around you a hand towel to wipe some of that up so nobody slips in it. Come sliding forward, return to your mat. Seated single leg extension. Stretch your right leg long, bend your left leg. You need a little sweat towel over here. I'll give you one too, Paige. Fold over your long right leg. Left hand maybe to hold. Anybody else feel like you need a sweat towel? Keep your breath moving. Now, if you've moved into that softer breath without the Ujjayi, I don't hear it as much, and that's okay. So you'd be responsible for that. You can switch to the other leg. Long left leg, bend your right leg. Fold, right hand to hold the baby toe side of your left foot. The outside ankle is a place to put your attention. It's a spot that you can think you're pulling back on that foot and flexing it, but it's not actually happening in the outer ankle. Then come on up. 2 legs in front of you, seated, forward fold. Your knees can be pretty bent. For a lot of us, they need to be. Move your sitting bones, the bottom of your pelvic bones, move those back and fold forward. Hold the outer edges of your feet. Soften your outside ankles. So really have a look at your feet. We want them active. Yes, and baby toes pointing back. A block can be really nice if you're pretty flexible, and then you just hold around the block instead of your foot. You can reach for that, and it'll help keep your feet active. Okay, come on up. Reverse tabletop. Lean back onto your hands, fingers point toward your feet, and roll your shoulders back. So it'll be the awkward direction for your fingers to point. Spin them around that. Face them toward your toes, your fingertips, and then lift up. Yes. Now breathe and let your shoulders, your arm, your forearm, your wrist all be stretched as you breathe. One more breath. Sit your hips down. Legs stretch out in front of you and make them active. And you can even hug your block with your ankles, but active feet. Hands in a C shape, one hand around each side of your pelvis. Forearms on the mat for fish pose. Now, active feet, and you press against your hips so that your pelvis is very neutral. Then you stretch the whole side of your body as long as it will go. And then as you breathe, you can open up your chest. So as we look around the room and notice in ourselves, there won't be any sinking in the rib cage. So work with this fish pose that's very active, active feet, and breathe. I'm going to change this up for you a little bit. Work with this and this. Use your inner thighs. Yep. I'm going to give it to you like that. Yeah, it's a little easier to work with. Tuck your chin and roll onto your flat back. Now, once you're on your flat back, you can roll your feet overhead for plow pose. Once you get into the plow, if you can get your feet on the ground, do that. If they're hanging in the air, that's fine. And make them active as we've been making them active so that your feet are at 12 o'clock, meaning like they're like hands on a clock facing 12 o'clock. They're not at like 10 and 2. Straight up and down. And as you move your heels wider, like Laura, move your heels a touch, not your toes, just your heels. You'll feel your lower back open up. Did you feel that, Laura, a little bit? Yeah. Good. So for Laura and everybody, if you can anchor your toes, anchor them. If not, no big deal, but keep your heels wide. So you could use the wall even and really press your heels in the wall too. There. Do you feel that? It's kind of good, right? Got it there, Paige? If you would like to, you could bend your elbows and bring your hands to your lower back for support and take your legs up in the air for shoulder stand. That's it. Now, eyes on one point, acknowledge and allow for whatever's on the floor to be the foundation, and then just breathe. Let it be easy. While you're lying here, let yourself become aware of how it is for you right now, how your body feels, how the world around you is occurring for you right now. Just get present to how life is for you right now. Steady breathing. I'm listening and I can hear sometimes there's some breath that needs to have just a little more attention on it. Steady breath as opposed you're in a little bit longer and maybe the ability to stick with it is past how long you think you usually hold it. Stay patient. Stay in the moment and keep breathing. Shoulder stand, come into plow pose. Then bend your knees, reach back and hold onto your feet for Deaf Man's pose. Then if you're in the Deaf Man's pose, put your arms on the ground behind you, palms on the floor, behind you meaning where your back is, not where your head is, and come rolling out of the pose one bone at a time. Consider that you're stretching your spine out long on the mat until you're on your flat back. Once you're on your flat back, hug your knees into your chest. You do have a cold eye towel next to you if you're in studio. You can pick that up at any point where you're interested in it and place it over your head. Then drop your knees to the left and look to the right. You've worked really hard today, and I have saved for you a very adequate amount of Shavasana time. I would encourage you to stay around for it and fully experience it. Switch to the other side. It'll be a little loud, but I'm going to give you a little fresh air. Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together, knees open wide. Then stretch your legs out long and wide for Shavasana. Set yourself up to be comfortable. You've got a lot of tools around you, so set it up so that you feel like you've got room for all of your stuff, for your body, for your lower back. Then take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth and let your bones sink down. So I'll read a reading to you from a book called Journey to the Heart by Melody Beatty while you're here relaxing. You're in a pose called Shavasana, or deep rest. It's different from going to sleep. This is a pose where your brain, the activity of it, can be set to the side, the same as your active hands and feet and legs. Does it mean that sometimes you don't get an itch on your arm or your leg? No, that happens. Just like your brain will start to act active. Your ability here, if you really dare to give this to yourself, is to have a profoundly deep rest. This reading is called Learn the Power of Respect. I watched as my journey unfolded this spring. Each place I visited gave me a lesson. People would show up at the right time and place with exactly the words I needed to hear. Sometimes the lesson would be announced loudly and clearly. Sometimes an awareness would surface softly when I least expected it, when I was beginning to wonder if any lesson or purpose was there at all. Everything I saw and experienced ultimately reinforced my trust in the universe and the power of my heart to lead me on. After all, I had taken this trip on just a moment's notice with no itinerary, and a magical adventure had unfolded. By the time the journey ended and I was pulled into the driveway at home, I had learned more than just to trust the process. I had learned to respect it. Do more than trust the process, the journey you're on. Become so awestruck by it that you respect it too. Respect your feelings and the timely manner in which they surface, heal, and lead you into new discoveries. Respect your experiences, the places you've been, the scenarios you've been through. Respect the way you've gained gold and jewels, the treasures of the soul from each one. Respect the darker moments, the more difficult times when you're uncertain and don't know what to do next. Respect the timing as your life and journey unfolds. And don't murmur about why such and such has to be the way it is. Don't limit how your growth can happen. Learn to respect the path of others and learn to respect your own. Begin to deepen your breathing. Be patient with the process. Just deepen your breathing. With one of your next breaths, on the exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes. Perhaps roll your head from side to side or stretch your arms overhead. And then hug your knees into your chest. Roll to your side. Bring yourself up into a sitting position. You can keep your eyes closed, get into a seat that feels comfortable for you and get settled, and then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest and pause. Feel what you feel in your whole body in the experience you're having right now. And then 3 times we'll chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Pause for a moment. Offer yourself a few words of gratitude that you got here. You did the work to make yourself the best version of you could be today. It makes a difference to all the people around you. And then any gratitude for someone else or another situation that feels right just now. And then a moment of gratitude for our whole group. If one person is missing, it's always different. Then bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead and take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth. Namaste. Good work. Thank you all for being here. At home, thank you for joining us. Here in the studio, you've got some extra towels around. Wipe up the sweat puddles so nobody falls. And then all those towels can go into the laundry bin outside of the room. The yes, no tags can go on the front desk. We'll see you all next time. Have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you feel amazing for the rest of the day. Thank you. Uh-huh.